Hello everyone, back to in today's first video. We're going to have a look at weather next week, 10 days, in today's first video, and we'll also have a look at CFS V2 for the next month as well. Later on this afternoon, we'll have the JMA 3-monthly update, so that's going to be covering May, June and July as well, so not quite the full summer period, but the rest of spring and up to the middle of summer. Anyway, that will make up part of the season 1 roundup that we're going to do at the weekend, where we'll get something like 11 or 12 long-range models together and see what they're all showing for the summer. And the JMA will be included in that, but we always like to take the JMA out and have a look at it in its own terms. So that's what we're going to do for today's second video that will be with you this afternoon. But kicking us off is a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days. Going to be unsettled, I think, as we go through the rest of this week, over weekend, and into next week too. We'll see if there's any signs of the weather settling down. So, quite wet already, actually. We've got a big mass of rain developing from the west at the moment. It's quite patchy across the Midlands and the East England, but go back into Wales and over the Irish Sea into Ireland, and really wet conditions there. And this rain is going to keep coming through the rest of today. So this is the precipitation type forecast from weatheroutlook.com. It's the Halam model that we're looking at here, and we can see that, again, just get this big massive rain expanding up to 7, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock to midnight. You see it's more or less in the same position throughout the next few hours that it is right now. So we're talking about Ireland, over the Irish Sea to Wales, through much of the Midlands, and then on into parts of Lincolnshire and East Anglia. I think these areas could get up to around 10 to 20 millimetres of rain, perhaps, by the time we get through to the end of tonight. So, really quite a substantial fall of rain coming up in the next few hours. And we won't be done with wet weather, because after that it's going to stay showery for the rest of this week. And then there's a question mark about the weekend. So this is the GFS forecast for 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, where we've got an area of low pressure that's developing from Biscay and moving up in towards the southern part of the country. That's bringing a contrast in temperatures. So there's some very warm air associated with that on its eastern side across France and into Germany and the Low Countries. But on its northern side, and we're on the northern side of this low pressure, the air is actually quite cold. So a big temperature gradient, giving the potential for quite a lot of rain. And this is the precipitation forecast from the GFS model for 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. Very wet down across the south and the southeast, and that rain does become quite torrential across parts of England and Wales if the GFS is correct through the course of Sunday. We're talking about over an inch of rain there being signalled for East Anglia, and then that's pushing northwards through the course of the day, and really cold temperatures as well. So only talking about 5, 6, 7 degrees through parts of Wales and into Midlands. That's the 29th of March. Very, very cool temperatures indeed. The reason for that is that there's an east to northeasterly wind blowing around this area of low pressure. Now, it may be going a bit over the top with that forecast for Sunday, but at the moment, it is looking as though Sunday could be a very wet and cold day. Indeed, actually feeling more like middle of winter rather than the middle of spring. So obviously we'll be keeping you updated on that. GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles, looking at London for the ensembles today. The red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average for London. Starting off above average still with the temperature, but they're going to continue to slide away, these upper air temperatures, over the next few days. So by the second half of the week and into the weekend, we're back down to average, or possibly at times cooler than average conditions. As we go to the extended range, no definitive sign of anything particularly warm coming up then either. Maybe a little bit of a recovery taking place through the first week of May. That's that period just there. But overall, looking just sort of average with the temperatures. There's certainly no sign of a return to the warmth that we had through the course of last week. As far as precipitation is concerned, it's an increasingly unsettled signal as well. So we've got rainfall coming up, either in the form of longer spells of rain such as we've got today, or showers through the rest of the week. Into weekend, these are the precipitation spikes associated with that deluge that's being forecast to move up from the south on Sunday. Obviously, it's a little way off, and you can see not all ensemble members are going for that. But we do need to be watching that closely, I think, because it does look as though Sunday could be a very wet day for some southern and southeast parts of the country. Hopefully, it'll downgrade. But as we go through the first week of May, and that's this period just here, it looks like we keep it pretty unsettled, really, with further showers and possibly some longer spells of rain being indicators as well in that period. Certainly no sign of anything definitively dry or warm coming up to the first week of May. Anyway, and this is depicted by the temperature anomalies. So here they are for the 24th of April through to the 2nd of May. We're coming out cooler than average. Pretty much in most parts of the UK and for Ireland as well. Much of Western Europe is actually coming out cooler than average. It looks like the heat is being pushed back down into the southeast of Europe once again. Precipitation anomalies look like that, so not quite as wet for Scotland. You're coming out a little bit drier than average actually for the precipitation anomaly. From the 24th of April through to the 2nd of May. But for England and Wales, it looks significantly wetter than average. So quite interesting, quite a stark north-south split, and not the sort of north-south split we tend to expect, because we tend to expect the north to be wetter than the south. So a little bit of a switch around on the typical setup leaves Scotland a little bit drier than average, and England and Wales quite substantially wetter than average. Some parts of England and Wales are going up to around 300% of average in the weekend, and that's particularly for these eastern areas. And most of that, I think, would be down to Sunday's forecast deluge. So looking at the GFS model then, this is how things are shaping up for Saturday. So Saturday is looking like a relatively cool and showery day. We've got this area of low pressure that's down here. That's the low pressure that's threatening to bring that wet weather on Sunday. So by the time you get 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, there is that area of low pressure again just to our south. We bring in on its northern side cool air and a really chilly east northeasterly wind as well. That's how things are looking on Monday next week with that low pressure. By then it's centering over the Low Countries and Germany, but it's still having an influence with these very cool northeasterly winds and probably still throwing down further rain bands, particularly to eastern parts of the country from the North Sea. And then that low pressure actually has another go at us as we go through to Tuesday. So that's where it is on Monday, centered over Germany. By Tuesday, it's moving back in from the east. That could bring a second band of really wet weather through the early part of next week in from the east with that area of low pressure. And then that low pressure just sort of sits around over top of the country to go through to the middle of next week. There'll be showers or longer spells of rain revolving around that area of low pressure. It's not really until we get through to day 10 that we finally start to get rid of it and move it away in Central Europe. Some signs of ridging beginning to develop to our north and northeast as we're moving towards the bank holiday weekend, but still bringing down these very cool and chilly northeasterly winds. Heading into the bank holiday weekend on this GFS run, and of course this is in the extended range of the model, we tried to build some ridging to our northeast, but actually it's low pressure coming in from the Atlantic that remains the main driver of the weather as we're going up to what is now going up to the 10th day of May as we get through to the final stages of this particular GFS run. So it does look very unsettled that with the GFS right now. This is how the ECMWF is looking. So Saturday looks showery under this area of low pressure. That's the low pressure just there that the GFS wants to move towards us on Sunday and bring that very wet weather. What does the ECM do with it? Well, actually the ECM starts to push it down towards Spain and Portugal, so it's going down in that sort of direction. So that implies that Sunny should not be as wet, or won't be as wet, if the ECMWF comes off as what the GFS is showing. So obviously there is a lot of uncertainty about where that area of low pressure is going. However, it does push northwards by Monday. That low pressure is now centred over Germany. So obviously it's gone in that sort of direction as we've gone from Saturday through to Monday. So it's a rather bizarre feature, this area of low pressure, and its exact track is going to be subject to change over the next few days. But the ECM implies that low pressure will get close to us a little bit later. It takes a little bit longer to do it, but by Monday it's over the Low Countries and Germany. So only take a slight adjustment to bring that low pressure to us. So I think we need to be watching out for a spell of very wet weather at some point over the weekend or into the early part of next week. By Tuesday, that low pressure is heading up towards Denmark, interestingly. So it's going up towards Scandinavia, probably bringing rain towards the eastern coastal counties, but actually we just remain rather showery and relatively cool on that kind of scenario. And then into the extended range with the ECMWF, it's this area of low pressure moving in off the Atlantic that brings increasingly unsettled weather as we go up to day 10. That is the chart for day 10, which is Friday the 4th of May, looking very unsettled. Low pressure is dominating to west of Scotland. So it's a case of showers or longer spells of rain and quite strong winds as well. So certainly in the week to 10-day time frame, it's looking unsettled. What about the more extended time frame? Let's just finish off having a look at the CFS V2 for the next month. These are 500 millibar heights. They're broken down into weekly periods. The first week period taking us from the 24th through to the 30th of April. And this looks very unsettled with below average heights and pressure over and to the north and northeast of the country. We have got some ridging down to the south, but it's a long way for us. It's not able to do much for us. So we're on the cool side of the jet stream, and we close that area of low pressure. It looks very unsettled and cool in the week ahead. We go through to week 2. This looks like it might be signs of a bit of a improvement. This would be 1st through to the 7th of May. And this one shows that we've got below average heights to our south down there and also to the north. We've got some above average heights to the northwest and also to the east. It's a rather odd chart, but I think we're probably doing something like that with the flow and with the jet stream. So actually, it looks like we should be under a ridge, but we're probably on the cool side of the jet, and we probably have a dip within the 500 millibar flow. So I would assume that is rather cooler and rather more unsettled than it first appears. Week 3 looks like this. It's the 8th through to the 14th of May. Starting to build up some above average heights to our east and northeast, with below average heights to the west and to the south. That could be starting to turn wind into more of an easterly direction through that second week of May, probably turning drier and maybe a little bit warmer. And then we go through to week 4, which is the 15th through to the 21st of May. Above average heights then centred to the north of Scandinavia, with below average heights to our south. That could be threatening some sort of thundery weather moving up from Spain and Biscay as the high pressure to our east continues to maintain easterly or possibly even southeasterly winds. Those 2 weeks look like they could be rather warmer. So the temperature anomaly for the weekend is coming out substantially colder than average, and then the week 2 temperature anomaly, the 1st through to the 7th of May, that also comes out very much cooler than average. Week 3, now this looks like it might be a little bit warmer. Winds turning easterly in this week, but the temperature anomaly is still rather disappointing. And then week 4, I thought we might be threatening some warmth and thunder from the south, but that also is coming out only at best with average temperature anomalies, maybe even a little bit cooler than average. I'm not sure why the CFS is so cool for weeks 3 and 4. It looks like they should be slightly warmer weeks, and I suppose they are a little bit warmer in that we go from the significantly cooler average temperature anomalies in weeks 1 and 2, to closer to average in weeks 3 and 4. But I would have thought they have a chance anyway, just being a little bit warmer than average, but the CFS not really interested in that. In any case, the next week to 10 days, that's all extended stuff and is subject to change. In the next week to 10 days, it looks really unsettled. There'll be showers or longer spells of rain. And at some point over the weekend and into the start of next week, we may be at risk of a bit of a deluge, and that's particularly for southern and eastern parts of the country. Obviously, we'll have to try and firm up on that over the next few days. 5D forecast tomorrow will probably have more about any particularly wet weather coming up over the weekend in the start of next week. So that's his first video done, and we're going to have a bit of lunch, and then after that we will be back with the JMA 3-monthly update, taking us from May through to July. So come back for that this afternoon. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.